It's the story the world thought it knew, the fairy tale romance turned public heartbreak, the glittering union of two of South Korea's biggest stars shattered in silence. But now, years after the shocking announcement that Song Hye-kyo and Song Joong-ki had divorced, new voices have emerged from the shadows. Her parents, speaking not in bitterness, but in sorrow and brutal honesty. Before we go any deeper, make sure to subscribe for more deep dive exclusives and hidden truths the headlines didn't tell you. Theirs was not just a love story, it was a spectacle. When Descendants of the Sun hit screens in 2016, fans all over Asia and beyond were captivated not only by the chemistry on screen but by the idea that what they were witnessing might be real. And then it was. The Song couple, as they were dubbed, confirmed their romance in 2017 and tied the knot in a grand ceremony in October of that year. South Korea rejoiced. The world swooned. It felt like fate had finally delivered a love story worth rooting for. But by 2019, it all came crashing down. At first, the public was left guessing. A vague statement from both camps, an absence of dramatic confrontation, and no explanation. Fans were confused. The media speculated endlessly. Rumors swirled about schedules, personalities, family involvement, and personal choices. But no one really knew. Not until now. What changed everything was an unexpected interview given by a close acquaintance of Song Hye-kyo's parents, who revealed that the family had been keeping a lot under wraps, not to protect themselves, but to protect Song Joong-ki and his image. According to this source, who has known the family for decades and even attended the wedding, Song Hye-kyo's parents were initially hesitant about the match. Not because they didn't like Joong-ki. On the contrary, they found him charming, well-spoken, and respectful. But something about the pace at which things moved raised red flags. The romance had gone from whispers to engagement in the blink of an eye. Her mother reportedly said to her privately, "Marriage is not a drama set. You cannot edit out the bad scenes." But Song Hye-kyo was deeply in love. And in truth, she had never smiled so genuinely in years. The last time her parents had seen her that happy, she was a teenager in love with acting, just beginning her career. They set aside their concerns and supported the wedding, appearing proudly beside their daughter on her big day. Behind closed doors, however, things were different. According to the family, the problems began not long after the honeymoon. Song Joong-ki, despite his bright public image, was reportedly very traditional and conservative in his views on marriage. He had envisioned a wife who would play more of a supportive, behind-the-scenes role. But Song Hye-kyo, already an icon and veteran in the industry, had no intention of slowing down or shrinking herself. There were also issues of jealousy, professional jealousy. Though both were stars, Hye-kyo had been in the game longer, commanded higher fees, and had international appeal. Song Joong-ki's success skyrocketed with Descendants of the Sun, but those close to the family say he struggled to be in her shadow. Whenever she received accolades, he smiled in public but grew distant in private. He wanted to be the center of their world together, and when that didn't happen, the rift grew. One story that Hye-kyo's father reportedly shared privately paints a clearer picture. After attending a fashion event in Paris where Hye-kyo was invited as the face of a luxury brand, she returned home elated. She had been seated next to global celebrities, praised for her elegance, and had even landed a new campaign. But when she returned, Song Joong-ki barely looked at her. Instead of congratulating her, he reportedly said, "You enjoy being admired too much." It wasn't just one incident, it was a pattern. Subtle, quiet dismissals. Attention that never exploded but slowly drained the joy out of their home. Still, Hye-kyo tried. She reduced her projects, turned down overseas offers, spent more time at home, hoping to bridge the emotional gap. But it didn't work. Her parents noticed the change. She was quieter, withdrawn, no longer excited about the future. When her mother asked her once during dinner, "Are you happy?" Hye-kyo reportedly smiled faintly and said, "I'm trying to be." Another detail that emerged from this new revelation was the involvement of Song Joong-ki's family. Traditional in values, his family reportedly had expectations for the ideal daughter-in-law, ones that Hye-kyo never fit. It wasn't that they didn't like her. It's that they didn't understand her. She was modern, fiercely independent, and uninterested in becoming the kind of submissive wife they had envisioned. There were subtle pressures, quiet judgments, and unspoken comparisons. It reached a breaking point in early 2019, during a family gathering. One of Joong Ki's relatives allegedly made a comment about settling down properly, and hinted that perhaps Hye-kyo was too focused on fame. She didn't argue. She smiled, excused herself politely, and later told her mother, "I don't belong in that house." The final straw wasn't a fight or an affair, or even a dramatic moment. It was silence. Two people drifting apart in the same home, unable to connect, unable to compromise. When Joong Ki finally filed for divorce, Hye-kyo didn't fight it. She didn't release a public statement full of blame or accusations. She let it go quietly, because deep down, she had already mourned the marriage long before the papers were signed. Her parents were heartbroken, not because of the divorce itself, but because they had watched their daughter slowly dim. They didn't speak out earlier because they wanted to protect her dignity. But now, with the internet flooded with one-sided speculation, they finally decided the truth needed to be known. Song Hye-kyo is not bitter. In fact, those closest to her say she holds no anger. She has since rebuilt her career, embraced her freedom, and found happiness in her solitude. Her parents describe her now as lighter, more peaceful, and more herself. There's a lesson here, not just about celebrity marriages, but about the unseen pressures behind the glittering curtain of fame. The world saw a perfect couple, a fairy tale union. But behind that image was a woman trying to compromise who she was for love, and a man who couldn't love her without changing her. In the end, they were two good people who were just not meant to walk the same path. And while the headlines shouted about betrayal, drama, and secrets, the truth was far more ordinary, far more human. The world may never get an official interview from either star explaining their side. But now, through the voices of those who loved Song Hye-kyo first and best, her parents, we get a clearer picture. Not to place blame, not to spark drama, but to offer closure. And maybe that's what this story needs. Not another scandal, not another viral theory, but understanding. Understanding that even stars cry behind closed doors. That even the most beautiful weddings can lead to quiet heartbreak. That love, no matter how dazzling, sometimes just isn't enough. So next time you see a glamorous photo of a celebrity couple, remember this. Real love is not in the spotlight, it's in the quiet moments. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on more real stories behind the headlines, the ones they don't want you to hear. Because in a world full of perfect images, it's the truth that matters most.